Welcome to The Craze in 10 or Less. This is the show where I give it to you in 10 minutes or under, and if I don't, who are you going to tell? Anyway, do retailers really need your indie comic book to survive? That's the topic of the day. I'm Sam the Crazy Man Vera. Stop acting up. Let's get it! All right. So, why this topic? I'll tell you why. I was on J.D. Calderon's podcast, and there was a group of people on it, including J.D. Rosario and others, and that was the topic. You know, do retailers need indie comics to survive, right? Or would they be better off with indie comics? I said no, and then the other thing was they were debating on that retailers need to really research and do their homework when it comes to indie comic creators. I disagree with that too. It's not their responsibility. But if you wanted to go that route, I'm bringing some data with me. So this was a lot of hypotheticals on the show, and nothing to the other guys. But you know how I do here on Catch the Craze. I have to go and dig a little deeper, right? I try to avoid fake news, and I try to bring you stuff that I've learned or researched on, whether it's close to the truth or partially truth. I try to get as close as possible. So let's start with Kickstarter, right? So let's say I'm a retailer and I'm curious, what's happening out there? What's happening on Kickstarter? If I'm looking for the next buzz that does not have distribution. Okay, so this is the comic book creator that doesn't have distribution. I'm looking for that next best thing. And I'm just perusing through Kickstarter. Let's bring some numbers with us. So Kickstarter has a data section of their website that populates in real time. It constantly updates. It's like the debt ceiling, right? You know, you can see it. If you go to Times Square, you'll see the debt constantly spinning. You know, the government's constantly digging us into a bigger hole. So similar to that. So comics in general, there were 23,553 campaigns, generating about 188 million, right? So live projects at one time, indie comic creators, there are at one single period, at one time that are live, about 187. So your book is competing with 186 others at the same time. You're wondering why it's hard to get noticed? That's why. There's a lot happening at the same time. So, success rate. Comic book success rate on Kickstarter is about 65%, 64.8% to be exact, right? So that leaves about 35% unsuccessful. That's huge. Huge, right? So, of that 23,553, only 15,144 were successfully funded. That left 8,225 indie comic creators unsuccessful on Kickstarter. So now, say that 15,141 that were successfully funded, 1,798, let's round it up to 1,800 raised less than 1,000. So let's take that 1,800 out of the conversation. Because if I'm a retailer, I'm not talking to those guys. You can't even raise $1,000. I don't want to see you. You're not going to help me get out of the black or the red. I need to get into the black. It's not going to happen with you. No offense, but that's the reality of it. So, of that 15,141, 9,561 raised between $1,000 and $9,999. So 9,561 were under $10,000. I'm a retailer. I'm not talking to you either, unless you had distribution, because that's not enough to generate a buzz or for me to pique my interest. I'm still sticking to Marvel and DC, right? So there's 1,872 that raised between $10,000 and $20,000. I might consider you if I'm a retailer, but I need more data. But where it's really I'm gonna focus as a retailer is these three buckets. These three buckets are the ones that are piquing my curiosity because they're doing something really right. Right? So 1,681 campaigns raised between $20,000 and $100,000. Now, if you're a retailer, you think you're taking a look at this? If I'm a publisher, I'm looking at those campaigns to bring into my arsenal. I'm like, oh, these guys got something going on here. Right? Of that, 256 campaigns raised between 100,000 and a million. 256. Oh yeah, definitely picking these brothers up, sisters up, whatever. That's where I'm looking. And only 3 raised $1 million, and we know who those 3 are. They're the Keanu Reeves and all that, the movie stars and all that stuff. So we know it. So we're gonna take them out of the bucket, right? So, if you're trying to get the retailers to see you, they're only going to be looking at 1,940 campaigns of the 15,141. Are you in that bucket? Are you in the $20,000 to $100,000 bucket? Because you're good. You have choices. The rest of us, we have a long way to go before we can try to say, yo, retailer, look at me. Publisher, look at me. So those are the realities. That's the reality. So when the conversation is being had, bring some numbers to the table so that we have a better picture to understand. And this is just this is not Indiegogo. This is not Crowdfunder. This is not any other platforms. This is just Kickstarter. But it's a great starting point to understand how this market is looking, right? So only 1,940 campaigns have generated enough revenue so that the retailer is guaranteed to get a return on their investment. Because if they're doing something right on Kickstarter, what will they do if they were distributed? Now, this number doesn't tell me how many of those campaigns were publishers promoting books. So whatever that number is, you got to remove that. It doesn't tell me how many of them were just one-offs. It doesn't tell me any of that stuff. I don't have any of that. Because for me, if I'm a retailer, I want to dig in. I want to get into the weeds. I want to know more, right? But that's the group that I'm looking at if I'm a retailer, and that's the hard reality of this game. I'm in no position to tell a retailer you need to do your research on me. I can tell you right now, I have a tough time on Kickstarter, so there's no reason why you should take a look right now. I don't have the marketing budget. I don't have the global reach. I don't have the team to push it out there. So at this point, I'm just trying to build what I have. So I'm playing in my sandbox, my little humble sandbox, and that's the reality of it. And so when you put it into perspective, that's the name of the game. So whatever you plan on doing, look at that. Your competition's right there. There's a lot of unsuccessful Kickstarters out there. 8,225 were not successfully funded. It's a lot of bodies in the streets. So, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think of this episode? Give me your feedback. You like this episode? Give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment below. Do you have any other data that I missed? Because Kickstarter doesn't give, this is generic. They don't give me any weed stuff. So, with that said, speaking of Kickstarters, I have a Kickstarter. Will you back my Kickstarter? Help me not be a statistic. Help me not be in that body bag in the morgue with everybody else. Come on! Duty needs you. Book number 4. You get a free gift if you back for the first time. If you're coming back, you get a free gift too. As a free gift for everybody. Come back, support my campaign. Pledge today. There's only a few days left. I think that as of this episode, there's only 12 days left. Duty needs you. I need you. Let's make it happen. With that said, I appreciate you. This is the Crazy 10 or Less. I'm Sam the Crazy Man Vera. You guys have a blessed day. Peace.